Today I'm headed to the Azores, or the Azores, depending if you want to sound like you're trying to pronounce it right or not. The flight's going to be via Lisbon. First operating carrier was supposed to be TAP, but today it's actually operated by Smartlynx Airlines. And we'll get a little bit more into what Smartlynx Airlines is in a minute. After that, flying on Azores Airlines A320 over to Ponta Delgada. And actually the whole impetus for this trip to start with was to take the inaugural flight from New York that Atlantic Airways is doing over to the Faroe Islands, flying from Stewart Airport to Vagar Airport in the Faroe Islands for the first time next week. And I thought, in order to get to New York to catch that, why not take a more circuitous routing? So I've even added on a few legs. It's going to take 7 flights to reach JFK. We're going by the Azores, and we're checking out a few of the islands there, and then flying on one of the flights over to JFK that Azores Airlines does. So it should all be very interesting. They sell really cheap fares. If you wanted to go that way just to save money, it's an interesting option from Stockholm or other parts of Europe, code sharing with TAP often as far as Lisbon, and then taking you via the Azores to the United States. Smartlynx Airlines, I really don't know what to expect, but we did pull some of the data that we have for Smartlynx and what they've been up to this year. They also do cargo and charter as well. 29 aircraft at this point. It's an airline most people would never have heard of, and it's Latvia based. If you've been flying around Europe this summer, especially in the Nordic area or on SAS, you probably have come across Smartlynx Airlines. SAS has been the #1 user of Smartlynx Airlines, which is what we call an ACMI carrier, Aircraft Crew Maintenance Insurance. That basically means they do wet leases. And we've done a blog post about wet leases in the past on the Flight Radar 24 blog, so I'll put a link down in the description so you can go read that if you want to get more information. And they've been very busy, not only with SAS, but also TAP. They've also been doing quite a bit for Air Peace of Nigeria. That's the #2 in terms of who they're doing flights for. And TAP is somewhere down the list with just a few. They've been just using them on a couple of routes, including this one. In fact, the city pair that Smartlynx has operated this year with the highest numbers is Abuja, Lagos. And since about mid-May, they've gotten busy for the summer. Obvious reasons, everybody wants to fly. Airlines need more capacity. They've been doing roughly 450 to 500 flights a week around the world. And interestingly enough, the top route they've done for TAP is not this Stockholm to Lisbon, but Lisbon-Dakar, Senegal. So I'm curious to know what it's going to be like on board this flight. How much of TAP's branding, TAP's service offerings have they brought over, and how much not? Hopefully going to board any minute now. So let's see what this all-white Smartlynx A320 is going to be like on the 4-hour flight down to Lisbon. Oh wow, that's an ugly looking seat. I love that they can call this business class in Europe. It's kind of mind-boggling. But luckily I'm in row 1 where there's a good deal of legroom at least. I can even stick one foot into the galley if I want, but I'm guessing that wouldn't be appreciated by the crew. Smartlynx safety card, TAP sick bag. We have a tap menu and lunch service today, just like you would get on any tap flight in Europe. Plus a gin and tonic with special Portuguese gin. Interesting. Lunch is pretty tasty actually, a ravioli main course, and it's kind of setting the mood for my trip that the butter is from the Azores. And you know what? There is very little else to say about this flight. The seat is about as uncomfortable as the cabin is bland and unappealing. And this is a 4-hour flight over to Lisbon. Fairly long to be stuck in this seat. There are dead bugs stuck between the window panes. The service and food is all quite good, to a TAP standard, so at least there's that. But I would absolutely avoid Smartlynx operated flights if at all possible in the future. In fact, since I took this flight, it's already caused me to book away from SAS on a couple of occasions and book competitor airlines instead when I saw the flight would be operated by Smartlynx. We perform a Ryanair-style landing at Lisbon, and then it's time for what is always a low point, transiting Lisbon Airport, with the delay making things a little close for comfort for catching my next leg as well. So here's how that went. First, we parked at a remote stand where there were no buses. Then the buses showed up, but none of them departed for the terminal until the entire plane was deboarded, costing more time. We then took an epic driving tour of the Lisbon airfield, kind of fun if it weren't for connection stress. We were let off the bus under a building in what felt like 45 degrees Celsius heat, and getting into the crowded, confusing terminal wasn't much relief. It was nearly as hot inside.
Welcome to Lisboa, and it's a fairly nightmarish airport. Honestly, it's exactly the same as I remember it. I've never had a pleasant experience here. It seems even a little busier, though, maybe than I've ever seen it, which I guess tracks with what's been happening all over Europe this summer. And it's still the summer, it's still August. This place is heaving, it's messy. There's all sorts of weird little corridors and bad signage. You never know if you're going the right way. There's lots of places where the signage completely disappears. There's non-stop announcements up here. Just an awful, awful place to connect. Thank God I don't have kids with me here. Do you like Lisbon Airport? Tell me if I have it wrong. If there's another version of this place, I would love to hear the good side. Anyway, let's go check out the flight to Ponta Delgada. There's only economy on this plane. I'm in 1F again, but it's economy service. So maybe I'll have to buy something to eat because I didn't have a chance to get something in the terminal, and now I'm hungry. All right.
Boarding the flight to Ponta Delgada is similarly messy and crowded. And then guess what? It's on to another bus that gets packed and sits around in the heat for a really long time. Another epic tour of the airfield follows. And finally, we arrive at the rather fetching-looking Azores Airlines A320. Though as it turns out, I needn't have worried about the connection because we're being delayed here by ATC for an indefinite amount of time.
First of all, I'd like to apologize for the delay. It's due to air traffic control restrictions. We have a flight time today of 2 hours and 5 minutes. Good weather en route, and I'll be back during the flight with some more information. Thank you.
We do finally get going before it gets fully dark, though. I'd expected a buy-on-board setup on this all-economy class plane, but instead it's just a snack in a box and soft drinks or coffee and tea. No option to buy anything else. And the flight attendant laughed at me when I asked about alcoholic drinks. Is there something I'm missing? They were otherwise pretty friendly, but that struck me as weird. Mercifully, this flight is just 2 hours and 7 minutes long, and after a bit, we're descending into Ponta Delgada, the busiest airport in the Azores. Sadly, this was a pretty good indicator of things to come on board Azores Airlines and its sister company SATA, which operates the inter-island flights. A middling offering at best, with so-so service, pretty poor reliability, and just not much of a service-oriented approach in general. But to some very incredible and beautiful islands at least. So stay tuned for the next chapter of this one, because it'll be a bit better, hopping around on the Dash 8 to some incredible islands and mostly in the daytime.
que em Lisboa a temperatura de 21 graus Celsius. Pedimos que permaneçam sentados com os cintos de segurança apertados a pressionar o serviço ligado. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Azores. Just landed at Stockholm Airport in Ponta Delgada, Island. Local time is 55 minutes past 9 p.m., 1 hour behind Lisbon, and the temperature is 21 degrees Celsius.
I'd love to hear about your experiences with Azores Airlines and SATA. Have you seen a better side to them? Most of the messages I got on Instagram during this trip confirmed my fears, but let me know in the comments. And as always, thanks for coming along. In Ponta Delgada, for Flight Radar 24, I'm Gabriel Lee.